Rose! Namajunas! Let's go!
And that.
Oh, you heard that, Stiff!
That one was a stiffy!
I think she's done enough. I think Rose has done enough.
29-28
Rose?
for the winner by split decision.
Yes! Come on, let's go! Jose!
Aldo!
Stop the fight!
How's
the ref not hearing Bisping and that talk about it?
Stop the fight!
That's the
Petr, new bantamweight champion. Well done.
UFC featherweight champion of the world, Alexander the Great Volkanovski.
48-47 for the winner by split decision. And still!
What? I got my prediction right, but I think Max won that.
Jorge Masvidal.
For the winner by unanimous
One judge picked one round to go.
and still the undisputed.
All right, okay, let's talk about what happened today.
Oh, what a card!
That was fun. So UFC 251 just finished and wow, it was a good card. Alright, so before I go into the fights, I think it's right to show you my predictions before the card even started. It's on the screen right now, and these are my predictions for the main card only, okay? So I'm gonna go through all the main card fights and see how I did, but here is how my predictions looked. Alright, if you don't know what's been going on, let me give you a quick brief history of this card, okay? UFC 251, Fight Island, Dana White's promoting like mad. The UFC have gone to Abu Dhabi, okay? And it was 3 title fights. Petr vs Jose Aldo, Max Holloway vs Alexander Volkanovski, and originally it was meant to be Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns, by the way, did deserve a title shot. He's been on a rampage and he really did deserve a title shot. But I'm not gonna lie to you, that fight didn't really excite me. And then unfortunately a week ago, Gilbert Burns tested positive for coronavirus and then suddenly he's out of the fight. And in steps Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. Suddenly the card is now massive. The card has now gone up by value 10 times and now we've got a main event, boys and girls. Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal, and wow, look how much better this card looks now. Masvidal's got 6 days to lose 20 pounds, which is absolutely insane in the first place. I doubt he's been training throughout the whole lockdown stuff and I respect him that much more for taking the fight. Okay, so anyways, let's get into the card, okay? First fight on the main card was Amanda Ribas versus Paige Van Zandt. Okay, so my prediction, as you can see, I had Amanda Ribas to win. She's been looking really impressive. I think she's had 3 wins on the trot before this fight. Mackenzie Dern being one of them. Mackenzie Dern is actually a respected fighter and she's won one of those by submission, so I thought, yeah, this was gonna happen. Amanda Ribas by submission, and guess what? She did it in the first round. She did it in about 2.5 minutes. So fair play. Amanda Ribas, that's my first prediction right. So well done. Let's move on. I'm gonna score that fight a 7 out of 10 because it finished really quick. But Amanda Ribas, well done. Alright, so the next match was Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade, okay? This was a rematch, okay? So they fought before and it ended up going Jessica Andrade's way. She ended up winning the second round by a TKO by actually literally lifting Rose and smashing her down on her head. I'm not sure I've seen that method of victory before, but it worked, okay? And she ended up taking Rose's belt, and then Jessica Andrade ended up losing that belt in her first title defense against Weili Zhang. If you look at my predictions, I had Rose to win, and guess what? I was right again, okay? I am kind of a UFC expert nowadays, so this was a 3-round fight. I know Rose went 5 rounds against Joanna in the second match, so I knew Rose should be able to hack 3 rounds, and it should go to decision, because Thug Rose is a very accurate puncher, you know? She's a very accurate puncher. I like the way she fights, and she's long. Compared to Jessica Andrade, she's very long, and that's exactly what happened. Rose dominated, especially the first 2 rounds. She looked really good. She was popping her, she was snapping her head back, and Jessica Andrade looked like she didn't know where she was. So Rose really went to work in those first 2 rounds. But in the 3rd round, Jessica Andrade, I think she broke Rose's nose because her nose looked all messed up. It was bloody, but her nose shape looked really weird, and that's when I started to get worried. I knew Rose won the first 2 rounds, but it looked worrying for Rose. But she managed to hold on and finish the fight and win on split decision. I don't think it shouldn't have been a split decision. I think it should have been unanimous. I think Rose won 2 rounds to 1, but she won the fight, and she actually did end up looking worse off. Her face is pretty busted up, but Rose won the fight. That's another prediction I got right. I'm gonna score that fight a 9 out of 10 because I think that fight was absolutely amazing, and that should mean that Thug Rose gets a title shot next, get her belt belt back against Weili Zhang, and I can't wait for that fight because Weili Zhang had my fight of the year. I really can't wait to see that fight. Thug Rose versus Weili Zhang for the women's strawweight belt. And the next fight, Jose Aldo versus Petr Yan. There was a little bit of controversy in the first place for this fight because Henry Cejudo did vacate his title, and Jose Aldo just getting thrown into the title match, even though he's fought once before in the bantamweight division and he lost against Marlon Moraes. It was a bit strange. Like, I know Dana said Aldo should have won the fight. From me watching the fight, I believe Aldo should have won that fight. But at the end of the day, the judges said Marlon Moraes won the fight. So Aldo lost in his bantamweight debut, but yet he's got a title shot ahead of the man who beat him, Marlon Moraes. He's got a title shot ahead of Aljamain Sterling, who's been on a rampage. A lot of people didn't think it was fair, but listen, we got the fight, Petr Yan versus Jose Aldo. But anyways, going into the fight, my prediction was for Jose Aldo to win. The reason why I picked Jose Aldo was purely because of experience. I know that Petr Yan is probably one of the best boxers in the whole UFC, but I wasn't convinced that he was ready for the title shot purely because he hasn't fought anyone big. Yeah, he fought Uriah Faber and beat him, but Uriah Faber's like 40. He beat Jimmy Rivera, but it's still not impressive to me. Whereas Jose Aldo, he did lose the bantamweight, but he's apart from Max Holloway, he's the greatest featherweight champion of all time, and that's a weight class above. Jose Aldo has gone 5 rounds numerous times against big fighters. He's fought Max Holloway twice. Petr Yan hasn't gone 5 rounds as well in the UFC. Hasn't had a title shot. Hasn't fought anyone big. Aldo with that rich history, I just thought, yeah, Jose Aldo's going to come in, win the fight. And that's not what happened. That is not what happened. But anyways, the fight started and Aldo came out with leg kicks. He came out with a couple good leg kicks in the first round. He swiped him once. And it was looking like a leg kick fight in the first round. But I gave the first round to Petr Yan. He looked a better fighter. He was landing more. He came back with a couple leg kicks as well. And I think he actually semi-dropped Aldo. Anyways, the first round, our stream messed up in the first round.
Oh no!
Hey!
No!
Hey, go on! Internet! This is the one fight I needed to watch.
Wifey! Internet! Tell the wifey to come back.
But I believe he dropped Aldo in the first round. Anyways, as the fight kept going on, Yan was just dominating more and more and more, and Aldo was looking more and more tired and more out of it. Yan kept dominating the fight, but once it got to the 5th round, it was very tough to watch. I can't lie, and I'm kind of mad at the referee. Here's why. He should have stopped the fight. The referee took way too long to stop that fight, and that's endangering the fighter because for a good minute, a minute and a half maybe, Aldo wasn't fighting back. Yeah, he was moving, but he wasn't fighting back. And Yan was just hitting him with everything. And the ref just giving Aldo chances. Aldo's not fighting back. He's just taking hits. He's literally just covering himself. That's bad refereeing. Because some stuff like that, things like that, just waiting that extra 30 seconds, minute to stop the fight, can have long-term effects on the fighter, and that wasn't good. So that was very poor refereeing. The ref took way too long to stop the fight, but Yan won fair and square. That's the first prediction of the night that I got wrong, actually. Congratulations, Petr Yan, the new UFC bantamweight champion. What's next, though? We've got Garbrandt, we've got Aljamain Sterling, who I believe deserves a title shot. I think it'll be Aljamain Sterling versus Petr Yan for the bantamweight championship, next fight. But then we've got Cody Garbrandt sitting there as well, looking very impressive from his last win. I would like to see Cody Garbrandt versus Marlon Moraes and Aljamain Sterling versus Petr Yan. I don't know what's going to happen with Aldo. Aldo has now fought twice in bantamweight, lost both times. He's had a title shot. I don't know what's going to happen with him. He's a legend, man. He's a future Hall of Famer, so it's sad to see that happen to him, but I genuinely believe Aldo is finished now. He just didn't look like himself, especially after the first 2 rounds. Petr Yan, I'm going to rate that fight an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, next, on to the co-main event of the evening. This fight was for the UFC Featherweight Championship. Okay, this is a rematch. Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski. They fought back in December. Volkanovski won the fight pretty convincingly, I believe. Max believes he won the fight, but I think Volkanovski won pretty convincingly. He just beat him on points. He just scored really well. And it was time for the rematch. For a champion like Max Holloway, who's held that belt for quite a while, who's defended it quite a few times, he deserved an instant rematch, and he got one. For this fight, I had Volkanovski to win, as you can see from my predictions, and I was right. Volkanovski won the fight, but I don't know if I'm too happy about that decision. Let's look at how the fight went. So Max looked really sharp, by the way. Max looked really sharp. For someone who said he hasn't trained, he said he's been training through Zoom calls with his coaches. He actually dropped Volkanovski with a head kick right at the end of the first round, and he was doing this weird thing where in between rounds he would walk around and shush. I don't know who he was shushing. I think he was shushing the commentators, but like Max would end the round and he'll just do the shushing thing. He would just shush someone. I don't know what he was doing. He had a solid first round. Same thing with the second round. A solid second round. Actually dropped Volkanovski again at the end of the second round. So it was clearly 2-0 after the first 2 rounds. Afterwards, the fight started becoming a battle of leg kicks because if you actually look, Max's whole left thigh is just red. And Max was also landing a good few leg kicks as well. So it was leg kick central, okay? They were both scoring points, and I'm not gonna lie to you, leg kicks are scary. I'd rather get, me personally, just from watching it, I'd rather get punched in the face 10 times than get a leg kick because that looks painful. Like just seeing your leg getting chewed up, like your thigh, I'm good. The third round I gave to Max, but it was tight. It was the tightest round so far. After Max won the first 2, pretty tight. Max did decline a bit, but I still gave it to Max just based on strikes. I think Volkanovski got a takedown, so he might have snuck that round. But me personally, I would have gave it to Max. Going into the 4th round now, Volkanovski came out looking strong, man. Like, I don't know where he got this new burst of energy from, but I think he realized, listen, I'm about to lose my belt. And I've never defended it, so I need to win this match. And he just came out looking strong. I think he landed a takedown, but Max got up pretty easy. But he got the takedown, so you got to give that round to him. He was threatening more, he was punching more, he was landing more. But he was the aggressor, and I think that 4th round was easily Volkanovski's. So now could have been 2-2. I think it was 3-1 going to the last round to Max, but it was down to the last round, and Volkanovski ended up finishing the fight strong and winning on split decision. I kind of had Max win the fight 3 rounds to 2. I do understand now looking back at it because Volkanovski did get a couple takedowns, but based on strikes, Max won the fight 3 rounds to 2. But you got to factor in the takedowns, and I don't think Max attempted any takedowns. I scored that fight 8.5 out of 10. And what's next for both fighters? I don't know, because the featherweight division, I'm not gonna lie to you, doesn't look really exciting to me right now. I think Calvin Kattar looked impressive in his last fight. I think Zabit is coming up. Zabit's always going to be there. Yair Rodriguez is there. Brian Ortega hasn't fought in a while. Korean Zombie, but I don't know what's next to that. I don't know what's happening in that division now. It's not looking like the most exciting division. It once was an exciting division, so I don't know what's going on. And for Max, he's still young, man. He's 28. He's a great fighter. He was a great champion. Probably the greatest featherweight UFC's ever seen. And I'm looking forward to see what happens with Max coming up. Okay. Now, on to the main event of the evening. Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. Street Jesus, 3-piece and a soda. Let's go. Okay, so the first thing I noticed was Kamaru's ring walk. He came out dancing, he was listening to Burna Boy, and he looked really confident. Like, he just dancing. I know he does it all the time, and you can't tell if it's a show, but he came out dancing. He's looking a bit confident. Maybe it's because he knows that his opponent's had to cut 20 pounds in a week. My prediction was for Kamaru Usman to win, and that's exactly what happened. Even though I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have liked to see Masvidal win. I'm not mad. Kamaru Usman's a great fighter, and yeah, let's talk about how the fight went. Alright, so when the fight started, I thought Masvidal was gonna start with his hands behind his back, like he did against Ben Askren. He also did that, I believe, against Nate Diaz, but he didn't. He just started off like holding the cage, just like chilling. The fight started off really aggressive from both sides. They both just came out swinging, and I think Kamaru grabbed him by the heel and like kind of pulled him down. I thought the fight wasn't gonna last past 2 rounds after seeing that first round, but I gave that first round to Masvidal. He had a lot more strikes. Usman literally spent the whole second round with Masvidal against the cage, and he was stamping. He kept stamping his foot. So Kamaru kept stamping on Masvidal's foot. That must obviously be some sort of annoying tactic. That was his go-to move for literally the whole fight. Keep him against the cage, stamp on his foot. He gave him a few shoulders, but he was actually giving good body strikes as well, which was good. Whilst he was against the cage, he was landing shots on his ribs, his body, which obviously takes a lot out of Masvidal. That was literally how most of the fight went. One thing I did notice though was, especially in the early rounds, Masvidal had really good takedown defense, and I was wondering how Masvidal has such good takedown defense, and I realized that he actually came up for American Top Team training with Colby Covington, and they were good friends at one point. So training with Colby Covington all those years probably made Masvidal good at takedown defense. And apart from that, Usman dominated the fight really. I don't know I don't think we could have expected much more from Masvidal. He took the fight on 1 week's notice. He had to cut 20 pounds in 6 days. He had to fly halfway across the world. He had to quarantine for a couple of those days. The fact that he completed the fight, he lasted 5 rounds. That's the BMF. That is the BMF. That is the real BMF, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think Usman gained many new fans today. He just did what he had to do to get the win, and you gotta respect it. Masvidal deserves a title fight where he actually has time to train. But it's also Gilbert Burns, and there's also Leon Edwards, who also deserves a big fight at this point. So I reckon Gilbert Burns and Leon Edwards should fight, and Masvidal and Usman should run it back. And the winner of Burns versus Edwards should go on to fight for the belt. I think that's the best thing. I think that's the best way to do it. And I rate that match a 7 out of 10. And it looks like Thug Rose versus Jessica Andrade got fight of the night, which is deserved. I rated that the highest fight as well, 9 out of 10. Yeah. Let me know what you guys thought of UFC 251. Let me know if you guys are UFC fans. In the future, I'm also going to do prediction videos as well, previews. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys for the next sporting event, which is probably going to be a football event. But if you guys are UFC fans, I'll see you at the next UFC event. Bye.